how does this play out? You said it could be more, and we haven't. I mean, it's come out that the suspension's coming. We don't know how much or when it's official. What can you tell us, Rick?
Well, I mean, it could be as early as today. It could drag on to the next week is what we know. And look, these things are not done in a vacuum. There's a lot of conversation between the league, obviously, and Jameis's representatives. The information that we have, and Adam Schefter, I think, has reported this too, that there probably won't be an appeal, although that's still a possibility. And I think the reason why there won't is that he wants to move forward. He wants to put this behind him. It's not that he's accepting the version that was put out there by the Uber driver. And you mentioned there was never a criminal charge or so far a civil suit, although I would anticipate there'd be one later. But I think, as far as the more part goes, like I said, when the NFL does send a letter and does make this official, it may not be enumerated, but I think there will be things they'll want him to accomplish, as far as whether that's counseling or whatnot, as safeguards. And certainly if he were to do, if there are any more of these incidents come forward, they could add games. But right now it looks like a minimum of 3 games, and we'll see what happens when the league finally gets around to announcing the suspension.
If he is, turning his life around to the fact that he's getting married, having a kid, he's going to be a dad, he's got a foundation, and you're being suspended for grabbing a woman's crotch, wouldn't you fight that instead of saying, I want to turn the page? I mean, this is certainly with a contract and millions on the line, Rick?
Yeah, it's reasonable to think that, but there's a couple things. One, we've seen where these appeals go, right? Nobody wins them, and they don't win them because they usually boil down to, does the NFL have the right to investigate, to make a decision and punish? And the answer is yes. They gave that away in the CBA. Okay, so you could fight it, but when you do, what happens? Now the NFL's investigative report, which at this point is not being shared by anybody except to Jameis and his representatives, that all becomes public now because now the NFL is going to try the merits of the case. And we'll hear things about due process, which we know doesn't really exist, nor does it have to. So I think from a PR standpoint, it may not be what Jameis wants out there. We don't know what, culpability he has. We don't know what his story was. Maybe he prefers it that way. So there's a lot of motivations, and I'm sure it's a tough call. I'm sure people will look at it as, maybe an admission of guilt, which is not necessarily. But I think that, I think that he's got to make the best decision for himself and for his football team. That's another thing. Like, what's the week-to-week drama and the cost of the stays and the appeal? And he's going to play this week. Is he not? Take his 3 games, move on, try to have a great season.
Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.